Practice on the combined transmission of Liberty Television and Liberty Radio. My name is Mahmoud Tunde Hassan, and we're reaching you from the Nigerian capital, Abuja. To state that the broadcast industry in Nigeria is challenged and troubled is an understatement. It is so intense that stakeholders have called for a state of emergency to halt the slide in the industry. So many of the stations, television and radio, are struggling under intense and excruciating operating environment. Quite a number of them have raised issues around the regulatory and legislative conditions under which they operate. The economy is also not helping matters, as it has pushed up policies churned out by government that is unfavorable to the industry. For instance, other energy policies of the government, shooting up energy costs for the operation of these industries, electricity costs, diesel, and the rest of them. Now, what is the implication of the current state of the broadcast industry, first on the industry, and equally important on the very process of national development, given the critical role the information sector, media to be specific, is expected to play in driving the development path for this country. These are the issues we will be engaging in this edition of the program. Essentially, to understand the consequences, but more importantly, to chart the way forward. I'll be right back to engage in this conversation with my guest in the studio right after this time out.
Democracy in practice.
For all Nigerian voices will be heard. We are the voice for the people. We bring you news, entertainment, foreign affairs and politics. Station you can trust with numerous awards. The number one for Nigeria, indigenous, bilingual news platform, straight from the north with national flavor. Broadcast house of your choice. Voice for all, liberty, liberty. TVN radio, bilingual news platform. We are the voice for all. You see, Liberty is a station that we love so much. I would like to acknowledge the people who give it the best of the best. Under the able and dynamic Dr. Ahmed Tijani Ramalan, the station's executive chairman. Much love. Salute. Issues in the news, can it be true?
You're welcome back. Democracy in Practice on the combined transmission of Liberty Television and Liberty Radio. We're looking at the industry is confronting at the moment in order to understand these challenges, but also to pave the way forward. I'm joined in the studio by the Executive Secretary of the umbrella body of radio and television stations in the country, the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, BON, in the person of Dr. Yemi Bambushi. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure.
My pleasure to enter this very beautiful studio for the first time.
Thanks for the compliment, and you're most welcome.
Thank you.
I'm also joined in the studio by Malam Saidu Muhammad Carpenter.
From Essential Threats, because ordinarily our thought at the beginning was that the economic situation will come back to normalcy within unnecessary cry, even if they are feeling the pains because of the nature of the work and because of the nature of the industry. Because ordinarily the media will be the last to cry. It will be the first to wake up and going to be the one to sleep. I mean, the last one to sleep. So in situations, media always try to restrain itself because by the time the media begins to cry, that shows that the situation has gone beyond what 2023, most especially, the cost of a liter of diesel now is hovering around 1,300 to 1,500 naira per liter. And a station like Liberty, where you operate more than 12 hours on a very high capacity generator, which I want to believe it will not be lower than 250 to 300 kVA, you can determine the amount of diesel that generator will be consuming on daily basis. So the regulation of the fuel or removal of the subsidy has put the media into extreme corner to the extent that you cannot even run the station effectively as you ought to be because of the cost of diesel in Nigeria today. And again, if you run back diesel in Nigeria today, and again, if you run back to the public power supply, of course, it is electric. As far back as year 2020, when the issue of COVID-19 came in, all sectors shut down. Aviation, hospitality, industries, advertising, all shut down in 2020 because of COVID-19. The only sector that did not close shop as at that time was the media, the broadcast media most especially. And they were running at a loss because there was no advertising, no government patronage, but because of the role of the media in ensuring the security and safety of the society, the media kept burning diesels day and night in order to minimize the effect, the devastating effect that COVID-19 will have brought to Nigeria. I believe that the government itself knows that it was the unrelenting efforts of the media in public enlightenment, giving information, adequate information about the way and manner to cope the destructive tendencies of COVID-19 that made Nigeria to that after that there will be a bailout for the media, which did not come. Many stations had to go to banks to borrow. Now the cumulative effect is now destroying the industry.
Okay. I mean, you've given us a very elaborate understanding of the current state from where it started, the trajectory, and where we are today. We'll continue this conversation. I'll take a short break to accommodate another insightful contributor to the Nigerian media space. And when we return, we'll continue the conversation. We'll take a short break. Democracy in Practice on the combined transmission of Liberty TV and Liberty Radio. We're looking inwards and discussing and x-raying ourselves. We're talking about the broadcasting industry. Earlier on, I had introduced the Executive Director, the Executive Secretary of the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, BON, and the President, Dr. Yemi Bambushi, is still in the studio with us, along with a media consultant and a veteran of more than 3 decades, Alhaji Saidu Muhammad Kapinta. Both of you, welcome. We're now joined in the studio by Dr. Iman Shehu. He is the director of the International Institute of Journalism here in Abuja. He trains people for this industry. And I don't know how he explains to them that the industry that he's training them for is challenged at the moment. You're welcome, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you, colleagues.
Before we took that break, Dr. Bambushi, you were talking about giving us a background to how the industry has come to this point.
Yeah.
You discussed, you raised issues about being comatose. You discussed issues about being boxed in, literally, and as it were, being pushed to the corner. Is that your reading also, as a media consultant who understands the dynamics? Is that your reading of the industry, Alhaji Kapinta?
Thank you once more for having me in your studio. Good afternoon. There is another angle that many of us do not see. Nigerian laws and regulation have strangulated the local Nigerian independent broadcaster. Meanwhile, they have allowed certain international vulture organizations to vulture on the unhatched eggs of the Nigerian media industry. Let me give you an example. Without mincing words, Arewa 24.
We have to be very careful about mentioning names.
Fine. But I don't want to lead people to start thinking whether I'm talking about CNN or NBC. If what I'm saying is, if it is in Nigeria, practicing in Nigeria the way under the regulation of Nigeria, fine and good. Saidu Kapinta said it. Liberty TV didn't say it. Now let's take that. But before we go to vulturing, I didn't say on the Nigerian media industry. I want to show you how dangerous this thing is. They are vulturing on the Nigerian economy itself. Their government intervention, just as Nigerian government intervention in the market economy, right? Now, this guy went to school to learn how to tickle sub-Saharan government policies through business development to excite or depress a sub-Saharan currencies. So let's leave that.
So how
if they had checked those guys earlier, firstly, before we even go to the NBC and whatever, we should talk to the NIA, the Nigerian Intelligence Agency. Recently, we had the issue of Twitter and former President Muhammadu Buhari. This is the case of another international organization vulturing, participating in the Nigerian economy without playing by the Nigerian rules. And unfortunately for the Nigerian independent and local broadcaster, NBC, whatever, will keep you down. If today you should appear on this program, maybe you're wearing your cap the wrong way, they'll write you. Your presenter was seen wearing a cap the wrong way, your chairman puts it before the three of us. That okay, he wants to do what they are doing in Nigeria, he wants us to come up with a plan and do it in England. So we start Windsor TV. We take the Queen's Crown, toy with the design a little bit. Get Mr. Bean and some other good actors, give them some small pittance to always be appearing and do what they like. And then we tell you that Windsor Takuchi, Windsor is yours. Do you think the British government will permit that?
These are serious issues.
This is not only an economic threat. And let me just conclude this. Let me tie this up quickly. If this continues, more vultures will come to the Nigerian broadcast industry. They have already formed a path and it is working excellently. They are taking all the broadcast money. It's not being taxed. If you look at their format of broadcasting, they don't do news. he trains journalists. They trained us, right? Now, those guys are not going to employ us. They are not going to employ our next generations to come. All they do is play movies, do this, do that. Eye candy, all those things that the eye wants to see. That we, MBC will write you and tell you, you can't just go ahead and do this for this long. You must put in local content, and we're competing against them.
And the law seems to be looking the other side. Dr. Iman-Shehu.
Yeah.
I mean, as you were stepping into the studio, you also had Dr. Bangushe giving the scenario added to what Alhaji Carpenter has just said now. What is your reading of the enormity of this challenge?
Well, the media, by its nature, is a challenging terrain by its nature. Foundationally, the media is a challenge. But they own the hardware. We have to depend on them for the hardware. They are always technologically advanced.
For as little as the cable?
Yes, as little as the cable. Yeah. To set up this, I'm sure everything here has been imported. Even, everything is imported. So it works to them. They have the funding. What do we do to protect our own interests? We have so many policies, but we have to be intentional. And that is where the problem is. There is no attempt to be intentional in protecting what is ours. I mean, Dangote is a typical example.
Dr. Bangushe, look, I mean, these are very serious issues. And these are, I mean, the 79th AGM of Bonn, which just ended recently, I think last week or so, you re-echoed the position about declaring a state of emergency in the industry. Now, everything said here portends that. What has been the response from government? Because he talked about understanding and being intentional about solutions and being strategic about it. What has been the response since Bonn asked for a state of emergency?
Well, thank you. The response is the little one that we have been able to gather is positive, as it were, that government is willing to look into the challenges. We've made some requests on what we think from our own side that government should do vis-a-vis facilitating a bailout that will enable stations to key into the natural gas, the compressed natural gas,
the CNG arrangement
being implemented by the federal government. Established MDC that says broadcast stations, licensed stations should pay levy, but there was no definite definition or the percentage that should be paid. So a levy could be 5,000 and a levy could be 5 million. You understand? But we have made our own suggestions to MDC.
I'm just wondering the logic of that. Why should I pay a regulator, give my money to a regulator for the regulator to regulate me? Why should I do that?
Well, where was the media when the act was being put together? Because I was coming to what
yes,
doctor said.
Yes.
You see, in Nigeria we are used to terrorizing, and that's still what we are doing. Continue to terrorize. We do not find a way of putting things in practical way.
About it.
Understand? And that's what we have to do. All other sectors, as we are training journalists in your institute, they are training us in the Department of Mass Communication, have we been telling people that they need to belong to a professional body? If in your sector, look at the accounting sector, it is better today because they have professional body that can cry out the allegation or insinuation about a particular station that has no base in Nigeria and is making money. You understand? Who is going to fight it? It's only Bonn that can cry out, and probably by extension maybe IBAN to a limited level. But where there is professional body that can complement each other, then the noise will be heard. If you go to the banking industry, go to the accounting sector, go to the engineering sector, go to the law, we go to the health and medical, you see their professional bodies very, very virile. But in the media industry, tell me of one professional body that is there.
Okay.
Tell me of just one. So without us coming together to speak with one voice, it is most likely we'll be repeating ourselves like a broken record. In the next 50 years, we still remain where we are supposed to be. But what I'm saying is that it requires a concerted effort for us to put our acts together and get what we need to get. On the current situation that we are facing, I think that is the crucial thing. We need to come together as one. Now, if government allows the rector, the director of the Institute of International Ministry of Journalism said the postgraduate students, when they came back telling him about the number of FM stations that have shut down, it was alarming. Now, which means government in a way is giving way to the social media to begin to take over. And you know that even with the number of stations in Nigeria today, the social media will do the damage. It is the broadcast station that is doing the damage control at the end of the day. So allowing the social media to take over and allowing the broadcast sector to go down because of economic hardship will be devastating for the entire citizens.
Okay, you want to respond to that?
I want to respond to because the problem is not just about the broadcast industry. It's a problem with leadership in the country. It comes back to the whole issue of imperialism, and our leaders never seem to understand that policies that are given to them to implement in their countries are actually not designed to help their countries.
Given to them.
Given to them.
You're